Hey everyone, welcome. If you're joining us, I'm just gonna reach out to Jill and invite her. But welcome. If anybody's hopping on, we're gonna talk art. And so it's not here. I think it looks like.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
You can hear me. So excuse if any dogs bark. They're here. Already came, so we should be good for that. But you never know.
Same
Um,
here. Same here.
Good to hear. I just wanted to start out with, this is our first little art talk, studio talk. I used to do interviews a couple years ago. I love doing them because I love learning about everybody, and everybody's so different. Even though some work may look similar, everybody's got their own technique, their own style. And I just wanted to bring other artists forward to the world of Instagram. So I'm in Westchester. Where are you, Joe?
I'm in Downingtown.
Okay, so we're both in Pennsylvania. And I've said hi to Jill in person, but I really don't know Jill. So this is fun for me. I think we should start with you just telling a little background about yourself and whatever you feel you want to share, and then we'll get into some fun questions.
Okay. Well, I started my career actually as an illustrator and graphic designer. I went to the University of Arts, which is in Philadelphia, which unfortunately closed down like about a year ago. People around here know about that. So anyway, as an illustrator, I did digital collage where I layered work in Photoshop. And eventually I kind of grew tired of the computer and I started messing around with paint. About 15 years ago, I was selling a lot of art on Etsy and still doing commercial work. And then I took about 6 or 7 years off where I wasn't working at all because I had young kids. And I started to paint again about 4.5 years ago. And this time I started to get my work out, physically out into the world, not just selling it online. And I love it. And I love the art community around here and, this new whole life that I have. So
Community where we live is very inspiring, and we all promote each other. There's no like jealousy, but like, what shows are you doing? We share the shows, we get together. A friend of ours, Rachel, started a group where lots of artists, some all female, sometimes some a male and female mix, of having a meeting once or twice a month, and just kind of coming and sharing where you're at or what you're looking for, what your need, or shows that are out there, and just sharing things. So this is another outlet for us to talk about all that. But so University of the Arts, graphics, I was a graphics major as well. So it's kind of cool. And then I spun off from there. But I'd love to know, what are you working on right now? I know you're in lots of shows. I know you do lots of events, but I see the big piece behind you. Is that actually working on?
this is a work in progress. It is a 30 by 40, and it will probably be my catalog piece for the Yellow Springs Art Show, which is next April and May, but we have to submit our catalog piece in January. I won't show you this, but I'm also working on a commission. And the person who hired me to do the commission follows me, so I didn't want to spoil that and have her see it in progress. But there's always a lot going on in my studio. I work on multiple pieces.
Yeah, that's great. And a lot of people watching this might not know, just almost like stores, how you have to purchase and think about January the year before. That's almost what artists have to do when we enter shows, or, you'll find out about a show, but it might be like 4 months from now, but then you got to start painting, and then you have
Hmm.
to the show. Many shows are juried. So that means there's either one person or a few people that are looking at the work that's entered, and they'll say like yay, nay, and then we get little notices back like you got in or you didn't get in. So it's things like that that are all behind it. And being a business owner as well, we do multitasking. It's not just painting or photography. There's lots of things we have to do behind the scenes to promote ourselves. So this is another great way to get our name out there to all of you Instagrammers. So how do you know when a piece is done? Especially, I think, with the mixed media, it's not a realistic a dog. Like, okay, all the parts are there, it's done. How do you know in your heart like your piece is done?
So I usually will need to actually remove it from my studio, put it in different rooms in my house, see it in different lighting. And if I'm not sure, sometimes I'll just let it sit for a month and then decide. But it usually just has to do with the overall composition. And I want your eye to be led around the canvas. I want there to be impact from a distance, but something that pulls you in so that when you look up closer, that you find more and more little hidden gems as you look around the art.
Do you have a color palette you kind of tend to go lean towards? Or I know I do, so I'm really bad. Because like you're
Yeah, I tend to be blue. It's funny, like just like a couple of years ago, my mom told me stop doing so many blue paintings. And they sell. It seems to be a popular color. I think though in general, like a cooler tone, like green, blue, magenta. But then I like, to kind of use the complementary color as the like pops, like back in here, like you kind of see like the teal and mustard against each other. So I don't know how much of this mustard color will remain in this painting. This painting could be red at the end. I have no idea. So, but I definitely like to have, kind of a main color and then little pops here and there.
do you do collage at all in your paintings, like add in images or even like more of a graphic image that not necessarily like a person, but stripes or you know what I mean, things
Um,
painted.
sometimes I'll use scrapbook paper or paper from old books. Children's books are really fun because you can find little parts. Nothing really recognizable that would be like a copyright problem. I mean, obviously I used to be an illustrator, so I'm well aware of all of that. Some of the collage that I do is painting on like old newspaper. I will mix colors and paint on that and rip it. And I kind of like having, I'm trying to look like for an example, can you see up here? Yeah. Like I like kind of having like that edge there that is the newspaper, and that kind of brings in a neutral color to the composition. So yeah, I layer the collage with the paint over and over and over. And again, that's how I worked as an illustrator in Photoshop, layering digital collages.
Yeah, it's very cool because like you pointing out that little corner from here, it just looks like a white line, but in person,
Mhm.
you see all those little intricacies, like you say, like you keep looking and you're like, oh, there's actually like type up in that corner, like that. So that's cool to like kind of draw people's eye in further than what they might see just if they're walking up to your booth in your space. Um, as an artist, you and I both went to art school, so you had like strict guidelines, but I think I teach a lot and I teach from, I say 4 years old to 104 years old. But I feel there's never a mistake because we're artists and we're individuals. And the way we express ourselves is through our art. But if you had to say there was a rule that you break on purpose, what might that be?
I would say mixing oil pastels with acrylic paint. That sometimes it's under and you can scrape through and get cool effects. Sometimes it's on the top, and I will let that dry as much as possible. And I have several layers of varnish over everything, so it kind of gets sealed into the work at the end. But mixing oil and water is kind of the big no-no for lots of things. So, but I haven't had any problems with it. I know a lot of other artists who do the same.
Yeah, yeah. I actually was teaching little kids this morning and we did oil pastels underneath and then we did watercolors over top. But they were
Yeah.
like their oil pastel stands out through the watercolor because
Hmm.
the water don't mix. So yeah, I probably have the answer to this already. But if you could go back 5 years ago compared to now, like what would surprise you the most?
Um, well, 5 years is an interesting number. That was the middle of the pandemic. I was not working at all then. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had three school-age kids. One was in kindergarten, so all of my time was spent around that. I started to paint again really when COVID was over and it went back to school full time is when I started to paint again. And I really, didn't imagine that I would do so much so fast. Like I thought that I would go back to selling online, which I had success with in the past, but I'm so glad that I got out into the art community because as a mom, I've been a mom for 19 years, and as a mom, like, you get to that point where your social life kind of revolves around all of that. And it's really been fantastic for me, like, mentally, to get out and have these artist friends and be doing all these events and going to shows and stuff. So
Yes, that's awesome. So you said kind of like when you're looking at your pieces, deciding if it's finished or not, do you have a certain technique? Like I know you said you kind of walk away. I often will take like pictures with a phone because I feel like you see it differently, or turn it upside down, or things like that. That you're like a different perspective, and just like you say, moving around in different light. What is a trick that you would tell somebody if they're frustrated and not sure if it's done or ready to? Should I stop or should I not stop?
that's a good question. So while I work, I do turn it constantly while I work. So that way, you're making sure that the composition is working in all directions. I've actually had uh, buyers turn it another way. I sign it on the back for that reason. Another thing that I do though is I will take photographs towards the end, and I'll bring it into a program called Procreate, which is similar to Photoshop, and I will play with that in Procreate to try to, give myself a couple different ideas of how I'm going to finish this before I get to the final session in the studio. The way that I work, when I start, it's completely intuitive. I really have no plan until something kind of starts to appear, and that's when I usually take it onto my iPad.
You were saying that pre really going to shows and things you used to sell on Etsy. So for you, was it really large pieces or did you sell prints of your work? I know Etsy.
I sold originals, but they were all sizes. I think, again, this was about 15 years ago. I think I sold work up to about 30 by 40,
Oh,
which is what
wow.
this is back here. So yeah,
Your limit.
Etsy was very different back then. So you could get, I feel like it's pretty difficult to get um, a fair price for the artist on Etsy these days. But
Just because if people don't know, Etsy takes the commission, which
yeah.
we have to figure into there and just your time and everything involved. That
Mhm.
the prices for us aren't really what you see in the end. So it kind of, you know,
Yeah, I mean that's true of anywhere. I mean, obviously galleries take 40 or 50%. But I guess what more I was getting at is Etsy is just completely saturated, and there's people from all over the world on Etsy, and I see people posting large paintings and asking for a price that would cost more with free shipping, and the price for the painting seems like it would be more. The shipping for it would be more. So yeah.
stuff out. Yeah. So you mostly do shows in Pennsylvania, or how far do you go?
So I live about 45 minutes west of Philadelphia, for those of you who aren't in the area. I do shows within about an hour and a half radius right now, and that is including art galleries and art fairs. I am doing a show called 25 Days of Minis, which is online in December, and I'm trying to look into some more things like that. And galleries where I could ship to. Again, I have school aged kids, so I'm not really interested in traveling for art fairs at this point, but 10 years from now might be another story.
You can put the link to your 25 minis in here. For people that don't know, it's a series of artists that will be happening soon, and they create 25 small, whatever their medium is, things to sell. But every day, it's a new item. So it's like so people have to be quick, and if you especially like love a certain artist, like you're hopping on there first thing in the morning to see what they're putting out there. So that's a really fun, I don't know, thing every day to kind of look forward to something in your inbox and kind of seeing what the artists are doing. Because, like I said, everybody's so different. Yeah, that's exciting that that's coming up. Do you have anything else you want to share, or you feel is important? Just
Just on that topic of 25 days of minis, I would like to give a sneak peek at one of my minis. I have it right here. So this is one. This is the smallest one. It's a 6 by 6. So in the frame, it's 7.5. I will have 4 different sizes for the show. And they all are released at midnight, by the way. You can get on the 25 Days of Minis mailing list for that, and get the email every day so that you can see everything, or you can go on their website at midnight. This is the first year I'm doing this show, so it's been fun, but it's been a lot of work doing all of these minis for somebody who likes to paint big.
Yeah, I'm like I tend to go small. I would love to be an artist like yourself, more modern. I'm trying. I say that. I'm such a realist that I'm trying to break to the other side because I actually in my home have art like you create versus art that I make. So if you came to my house, she would be like, "What the heck? That's not what she makes." But I just appreciate that modern, that you have to kind of read into it style. And everybody has their own read too. When someone sees your painting along with me, we probably see two different things or get two different feelings or your emotion when it hits you from different things is just really cool and to have that connection with art.
Hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's kind of all my questions, but you want to do like a lightning round? I have a
Okay.
little. So, well, and this one was kind of answered maybe too. Canvas or tiny? So
I'm sorry, what?
canvas or tiny?
Oh, big or small? Big.
I like you just answered pretty much.
Yeah.
You go big. What's your biggest that you've ever done?
So far, 36 by 48.
Okay. Okay. Are you doing the March show at the Cherry Street Pier?
I am not.
Okay.
I have too many other things booked out, but that looks like an exciting show.
Yeah, I said two, and they're really big. So I will have to show you when I'm finished because to see if you approve because I've never really dabbled in the huge, but yeah, they're really big. So morning light or midnight lamp?
Afternoon. I
I
don't work at night though, but if that's, yeah.
Yeah. So you're like, well, I guess with the kids at school, it's like your window to kind of get stuff done before you're having to drive them here and there.
Yeah.
Like you've got enough books. Um, so do you have a favorite brush? Like, do you go for like a certain expensive type of bristle hair, or do you just like whatever brush is there that suits the need?
No, I use cheap brushes, and I also use things like this, which is a bowl scraper. And the I forget what they're called. They're like silicone brushes, I guess. They're easier to clean, which is nice, but I use
Almost
a mixture of both.
a type of brushes, almost. They look like a special in the end, almost, but on a brush stick. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess even like a potter or someone could use things like that for textures and things. But
Mhm.
I use sometimes like a catalyst. It looks like your bowl scraper, but it's just smaller or like
Yeah,
printing.
they're similar to the catalyst wedges, yeah. Hmm.
Um, so limited editions or originals? Would you prefer
Uh,
like
both,
originals?
both. I sell both, so
So prints of your work?
I'm sorry.
You sell prints of your work?
Yes, I do. Yeah, only small prints.
Okay. Now, if you commission a piece, do you not sell prints of that piece?
It hasn't come up. I haven't yet. So, but again, that's a tricky one because technically I do own the rights to it. They're buying the piece, they're not buying the rights, but I do kind of think that it doesn't really feel right to offer prints. So,
It hasn't come up yet. Um,
no.
photo or real life?
I'm sorry, you're
Like,
cutting out a little.
do you use any reference photos or
Oh,
just
oh
photos?
no, 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 not at all.
Um, do you have a playlist you play in the background, or do you prefer silence? I wonder if you like silence because your kids are gone, that you're like, oh, this is it.
Oh, music, definitely. Lots of music. A lot of classic rock. The one thing I usually don't listen to is Queen, only because it's my favorite, and I will, be like
All the
using the paintbrush as a microphone, thinking that I'm Freddie Mercury. So, but music, yes.
funny. And then do you plan out, like, do you pre-sketch and do like a little painting before the big one, or you just like go into it what you're thinking and just start on that end piece?
No, I don't plan anything. If it's a commission, there's definitely a large discussion about, what it's going to look like, and maybe referencing other paintings of mine that they like. and kind of mixing some colors and getting that down. But generally, there's no planning otherwise.
Yeah, I would think with a commission, just like colors and style, and like you said, like some of your past pieces, maybe they loved that they could kind of like work into the piece for their home. Do you
Hmm.
have any, like, where are your next shows that people could go see locally? I'm sure even into the 2026.
Okay, yeah, the next 2 weekends I will be next weekend at Spring City Mill Studios, and then the following weekend I'll be at the Unionville Art Gala. Both of these events are in Chester County, outside of Philadelphia. Uh, I've already talked about 25 Days of Minis. That's online, so anybody can enjoy that. Let's see. Later on, the only thing that's concrete for now for next year is the historic Yellow Springs art show, again outside of Philadelphia, and I'll be one of the featured artists at Muse Artisan Boutique. But there's a lot, I kind of have general fairs that I do every year and stuff, so I'm pretty set with most of the shows I'll be doing next year, but I have a little room to put a little more in. But that's important to point out to other artists that you really need to be constantly looking and constantly planning way ahead for these shows.
And especially if you've done one that you loved, you'd like already put it on the books for next year, get your name in,
Hmm.
and then go from there. Because do you prefer more indoor, outdoors? So iffy sometimes with weather, like in the summer or the fall. I mean, I know we've had some doozies this year. So if you had your choice,
I've done both. I have only done 1 day outdoor fairs, so I haven't really had any problems other than heat was a big issue at a show last year. For that reason, there aren't many shows that I would do outdoors if it was going to be that hot. But I do both. I There's pros and cons to both of them. So
yeah. I said I know some people are more interior. And did you just have like a one person show, like that you were the star of the show? No, Lowe's, no,
at what?
Lowe's, no.
That was like, yeah, like a little pop-up thing that I did at the Lowe's Hotel, in conjunction with Morton Contemporary in Philadelphia. But yeah, that wasn't really an art fair, I would say, but yeah, I did do that.
You were the artist that was highlighted and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, do you have any suggestions for other artists maybe that I should try to get on here? And it could be from anywhere. You just have to reach out to them and see if they'll do it.
Um, I would suggest to artists that are, just starting out in this business is that you really need to be mindful that the business and marketing aspect is probably going to be more than half of your time. A lot of non-artists say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky you get to paint all day." And no, I don't. I don't even paint every day. I wouldn't want to paint all day. It would be really tiring. But my background, freelancing in the commercial art world really prepared me for that. The other thing I would say too is, you really can't take rejection personally. Especially in shows, sometimes there's only one juror and you might not get in. And then like I've had that happen where I didn't get in a show and then the following year I did get in and I sold. So just keep trying. If it's a show that you really want to do, don't take it personally.
Yeah, I think art school trained us well for that with critiques and all your classes.
Mhm.
Kind of, and everybody has their own opinion. So something you make that you personally love, someone else might not be that fond of, but the next person will be. So I think we create because it's from our heart and it's what we love to do as a creative person. And I think like you found your niche with different markets and your style. And I think that's just so cool that we can all be so different, but be inspired by others. And like you say, the business side of it is a lot. So if you're thinking of getting into putting your art out there a little bit more, definitely reach out to us. But it's definitely an organized person kind of helps to have that say both sides because I'm not organized in my art world, but then organized in my business world, and hopefully the two collide one day. But for right now, they haven't. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Anything else you wanted to say?
Not that I can think of, no. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
We'll keep these going. I have one next Wednesday, and unfortunately, they're probably not going to be on the same day. I would love that same day, same time, but everybody's schedule is just so different that we're going to do them probably once a week and just pop on when we can and discover other artists. So if you're an artist on Instagram or outside of Instagram and would love to just kind of get yourself out there and be known, message me and we will talk. And that's it. So thank you so much, Jill. Have a good rest of your afternoon and get back to painting.
You too. Bye bye.
See ya.